Don't you think it's a little weird that the campaign manager would allow that song to be played on the night of the Liberal victory, and Carney just so happens to know the lyrics to that song? Weird, huh? This is basically an emergency video. The Liberals have flipped another riding. At this point, I am 100% certain that the election is being rigged. I was starting to get fairly certain when the Terrebonne riding flipped, but now I'm 100% sure, and I'm going to call it. I see a Liberal majority coming. They're going to do this to another riding or two, and it explains a lot. I'm going to get into the numbers, and then I'll maybe talk about some of the other details. I wasn't even planning on doing this video. I was in the process of editing another video on potential elections fraud vectors, and then I heard about this today, and I just had to do this and try to get it out as fast as possible. So up on the screen here, we have the riding that was flipped was Milton East-Halton Hills South. And originally, it was a conservative that won with 32,186 votes. After a couple of recounts, the conservatives went down to 32,157, and the liberals went from 31,888 to 32,178. There was also net new votes of, I think it was 226. I found this on X today. I will try to credit the poster, but I don't have it on me right now. It says the Liberals effectively gained the majority of the 226 net new votes, since their total gain was 290 and 64 came from reassignments. Their share of the new votes not reassigned is 290 minus 64 equals 226. Meaning they got 100% of the net new votes in terms of net gain. Now, I did briefly look at the numbers, and this does appear to be true. It does appear that they received 100% of the net new votes, so I'm not sure how that's possible when the Liberals on average got about 48% of the vote in this riding. It says other parties, Conservatives lost 29 votes, NDP lost 35 votes, Independent lost 1 vote, PPC gained 1 vote, Green Party gained 0 votes. Conclusion: the odds of the Liberals gaining 100% of the 226 net new votes organically, based on their preliminary vote share of 47.98%, are effectively 0. 1.2 times 10 to the negative power of 70. Even considering just the 84 newly accepted ballots, the probability of all going to the Liberals is 3.5 times 10 to the negative power of 26, which is still vanishingly small. The skewed distribution suggests either significant errors in the initial count that disproportionately favored the Liberals upon correction, or potential irregularities in the recount process. While errors in close elections can occur, the near 100% swing to one party is statistically improbable. I would say impossible, but whatever. Statistically improbable without some underlying bias or systemic issue in the counting process. Now, I have not had time to do proper research for this video. Like I said, this is basically an emergency video. I may review this and some of the other ridings and put out a more comprehensive video with additional information. Now, what is that now? 4 or 5 ridings that have flipped to the Liberals, and all of them have been a little weird, especially Terrebonne in this one. It appears that they are manufacturing a majority for the Liberals, and this explains some of the behavior of the Liberals, right? Carney has said that he has a strong mandate. Well, how do you have a strong mandate if you have a minority? Well, he knows he's getting a majority. Carney, when asked if he was going to court the Bloc or the NDP and try to get some MPs to cross the floor, said he wasn't interested in it. I wonder why. Once again, probably because he knows he's getting the majority. They're not going to table a budget. Well, why would you table a budget when you have a minority, when you can just wait until you have a majority, and then you don't have to worry about a no confidence vote? And there's so many fishy things about Carney and the Liberals in this election cycle, all the way from when he was in the leadership race. First of all, he basically comes out of nowhere as an advisor, no experience winning in any other election. He's never run for office in Canada, as far as I'm aware. In the Liberal leadership race. Other candidates were mysteriously kicked out, like Ruby Dalla, and I'm having trouble remembering the name of the other guy. I'll put it up on the screen. They were both kicked out for somewhat frivolous reasons, in my opinion. Yeah, none of these guys are probably squeaky clean, but that shows the double standards because none of the Liberals are squeaky clean. So many of the cabinet are WEF. Sean Fraser, he botches housing as the housing minister. He botches immigration as the immigration minister. And then he gets to be the justice minister now? What the hell is going on here? But he's WEF, guys. Okay, back to the leadership race. There were 400,000 registered voters to vote in the Liberal leadership race, and only 150,000 of them were allowed. The other 250,000 voters in the Liberal leadership race were for some reason not allowed to vote, and I still haven't seen a proper explanation of that. Then we can talk about Chinese interference. There was the whole WeChat scandal. I did a video where I covered that. The people doing the investigating tried to explain to the media that the WeChat account was sending both favorable and unfavorable messaging about Carney. But when a reporter pressed them and said, why would they even bother if they're giving mixed messages, the reporter didn't know what to say. I'm going to put that clip in right now.
But it appears to me from what's in here that the content is, I don't know if it's promoting Mr. Carney, but it seems very to cast him in a positive light. Is that broadly what this content that you've seen, that this particular campaign, is that what it seemed to be doing overall?
We monitored over the period of time specified, and we saw positive and negative narratives. I think a really important aspect of the work that we do in site and in these briefings is to not further amplify information that is out there at the interest, at the behest of a foreign government. And so, yeah, there were positive and negative.
So then what would be the point of the campaign if they're both undermining him and promoting him?
Obviously, that's super fishy. They're covering for the Liberals. This entire thing, they've been rigging this election at every possible level they can. This is exactly why I'm all for Alberta separation at this point. The RCMP is not going to investigate the Elections Canada fraud. As far as I know, the RCMP hasn't done a damn thing about Paul Chang. They never did any proper investigating of all the scandals that the Liberals were involved with under Trudeau. I believe Elections Canada is completely corrupt, and I believe the RCMP are not going to do a damn thing about it. So where does that leave us? Like, what institution is going to fix this problem for us federally? It's not going to happen. I wish I had more positive news, but it just keeps getting worse and worse. I will try to do a more comprehensive video at some point in the future. Like I said, I'm working on another video right now where I'm going to talk about the biggest loophole in the voting process, and it's just flying over everyone's head. The only other person I've seen covering it, the guy who tuned me into it, was Spencer at the MCGA channel. This is just outrageous, guys. I don't even know what to say. Try to enjoy your long weekend. I'm going to try to get this up Saturday morning. We've all got to get together and start getting active on this. If Carney gets a majority, we have got to put on the biggest protest this country have ever seen. All right, guys, take care.